Alright, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video is going to be a different kind of Overwatch video that we typically do. Typically, I just drop Overwatch gameplay. But with that being said, I wanted to do a tier list with Overwatch, and I didn't want to tackle all characters at once because I feel like that can be overwhelming for one. Two, it makes the videos really long if I want to even go a little bit in depth. So I want to avoid doing that. So we'll just start by well, obviously, as you can see here, support, and then DPS, and then tank if I decide to do tank, because I'm not a tank player. I pretty much mostly play DPS, but also support. So with that being said, I cannot stress this enough. This is an opinion video, but I think ultimately some, of these characters is relatively mutually agreed upon most of the community. Some of them, I don't know if I have any hot takes yet. I don't think I will, to be honest. I think this is gonna be a pretty straightforward tier list. But without further ado, let's get right into it. We got Baptist here, and I don't care what anyone says. Baptist is definitely at least A tier. Anyone that puts him a B or below, I believe, is not utilizing him correctly, or they're just not paying any mind to what this dude is doing on the leaderboards and with the right players in his hands. Baptist does so much good damage up close, and really, if you're a DPS player and you wanted to move into support, he's definitely someone who you can do that for. But also his healing, as long as you just nail their grenade, like when he shoots his little grenade launcher, as long as you hit their body, the healing just really racks itself up. Now, can it be obnoxious constantly pressing L2, L2, L2? Yes, a little bit. Actually, I believe you can hold it. Anyway, I'm used to pressing it, but that's not even the point. The point is, this guy has really good healing. He does really good damage for a healer, especially when he's up close. If you can just nail the headshots with the burst, that thing is gonna smack. Also, he has a little bit of maneuverability, being able to have insane hops, so he can get really high. And then going into his abilities, the I'm struggling to pronounce this. The invincibility shield. Is that what it's called? I'm pretty sure it's called invincibility shield, or okay. I knew I had it wrong. Immortality field. Basically, you can't die. That thing smacks because if you put that in the right Baptist player's hand, they're going to be so obnoxious with it and put it down at the right moments, at the right times. And anytime, like if I'm a tracer and I'm just really attacking a Baptist and that dude just puts that thing down, I immediately have to get out of there. I have to. There is no choice. But also it can save, obviously, people in general from just dying. But in situations like, oh, you hear Junkrat's ult, slap that thing down, you're going to save your teammates. Seriously, it's amazing. Reinhardt is pinning DPS or another support. Put that thing where they're gonna land, you're saving your teammate, and they have to knock that thing down before you can die, whoever's in that immortality field. So while they're low health and you save them from death, you just shoot your grenade launcher and you're healing them. And then his ultimate is godly. Like if you place that in a proper spot to where you have complete vision of the enemy team, that thing is just going to cause mass destruction. And again, Baptist in the right hands is really good. I would say his biggest weakness is lack of movement. He can jump up high, but that's as far as that goes, and it can definitely get to him, especially since his immortality field has, like, I believe a 25-second cooldown. And then his area healing, when he does like his fist and he goes like, it's solid, but it's not like great by any means. But again, his immortality field, his ultimate, his damage output, his healing output, all of it's really well. So A tier it is for him. Next, we're gonna go to Anna. Anna's definitely A tier. Again, I do not care what anyone says. She has to be at least A tier, or even I could like barely understand. I wouldn't agree with it, but I could somewhat see for someone to say B tier. But again, I don't agree with it at all. Anna's A tier because of her usefulness with her anti-grenade. That thing is phenomenal, and it is a savior in so many ways. Roadhog isn't as dominant as he was, but you still have people like Orisa who just don't die, and they fortify, and then they use their little spinning spear thing to where they're just like invincible for a second. But having that anti-nade buys you some time to just not allow that tank to heal and to really just eliminate and have your DPS or your tanks zone in on that opposing team's tank. And Ana is very useful in that aspect. Her sniper is solid. It's not great by any means, but it does 75 damage per shot. And to be honest with you, it's long range. It's a sniper, so it's not a great weapon. You know, it doesn't do immense damage output per second, but that's not her role. And then her healing, if you put that grenade down and put it on your teammates, it's a huge help. If you have a Roadhog or an Orisa, it is so easy to hit them. And she's not very favorable for having tanks like Doomfist or Wrecking Ball. I'd say that's where it gets a lot more difficult. But anyone who really just stays put, which is like most of the tanks in the game, she has a phenomenal time of healing them. And then going into her sleep dart, she can cancel out any ultimate, or I believe most ultimates in the game. Not divas, obviously, but like Ramatra or Soldier. Like, she will kill their cooldown with the sleep dart. The other day I was playing as a Soldier. I just activated it, got put to sleep immediately. My cooldown was gone, and just like that, all the work that I put in, it was done and over with. So it sucked, but she just cancels out so many ultimates in the game. Obviously not every single one, because people like Lucio or Kiriko just put it out there. Same with Zen, but you could even do it to Moira. You know, you could put her to sleep. So it's crazy. Ana's definitely really good. Her biggest con, which is the only reason why I could remotely understand people putting her in B, is that she is a turtle. Like, she is helpless. If somebody flanks her, she is done. Her best bet is putting the grenade down on herself to where she heals herself massively, and then sleep darting the person who's flanking her. But that sleep dart has a long cooldown, and that grenade typically you throw at enemies unless you or your teammates around you are in critical, and you don't always have it on standby. So that's Ana's biggest problem, but I believe her pros heavily outweigh her cons, so she is really good as a character. And Brig, I'm a little conflicted whether to put in C or B. I truly believe there are no quote unquote bad heroes in this game. I believe there are better heroes than others, of course. And Brig's buff with her heal pack, I truly believe she used to be a D tier character, but with the buff on her shield 2 patches ago, and then the buff to her heal pack this last patch, huge improvements for her. Small improvements, but huge, especially just her healing in general. It's just better, especially since she carries 3, so that instant 25 and then it goes up is significantly better. She used to be D for sure, but now I'm gonna leave her at C because her melee attacks do no damage. Really what it's just about is healing the people around you whenever you do the melee attacks. Her abilities, her shield's amazing, don't get me wrong, but her L1 where she just, I play console, so for me it's L1, but where she just throws her little mace and it just pushes them back is kind of whatever. It's like Lucio's thing, but it's probably worse because it's not area, it's single. Maybe it's better for some people because they like the longer range. I don't know. But she's okay. Her shield dash is solid. Her ultimate is really lacking. Her ultimate sucks. I'm glad it's getting a rework, so in season 4 she'll probably be way better. But her concentrated healing sucks. Her damage output sucks. And again, the only reason why she's in C and not D is because the healing's better. But also what elevates her compared to other supports is that shield. That shield being able to take in 300 damage really helps. It allows her not be an easy target for people like Tracer or Hanzo. You can't one-shot Brig, so that's pretty crazy. So she's unique compared to the other heroes, and she definitely has some pros, but I believe that if you wanted to like work your way to master or anything like that, it'd be really hard to do with her, considering again she doesn't have a lot of damage output and her healing isn't insane. It's better now, but her biggest unique thing about her gimmick is that shield, And it is useful, don't get me wrong, it definitely is. It's just not enough to elevate her, in my opinion. Moving forward, Kiriko, S tier, no question about it. Her healing's really awesome. I feel like she's a high skill kind of character, but also, even for players who don't really have a grip on how to really use her, they can just pick her up because of the healing. But what separates beginner players to advanced players with her is that kunai headshot. If you can nail that kunai headshot, you are money. It does not matter. And then another thing is her climbing. So her climbing isn't always the biggest of deals, but there are maps where it's favorable to where she can kind of get around, especially if you don't have her little teleport to a teammate and that thing's on a cooldown. So getting around using that climbing can be useful, but again, her healing's amazing. If you can get her headshots with the kunai, you will elevate this character times a million. That's just way better than any other character in the game. Like, I know I said Baptiste, his damage output's insane. His damage output's significantly easier to nail than Kiriko's. But if you do get it down to where you can get headshots on the regular, you are going to be living large. And then her ultimate, one of the best ultimates in the game. If your team's looking for a push, you just put that thing down. Everything is just insane. Like, the damage output for DPS, if you got a soldier, Sojourn, the tank output for Orisa or whomever you got going, and then your support's just even more healing while in that. What is it? What's her ultimate called? It's let the Kitsune guide you. That's the line. I don't know what it's called, but basically that thing is crazy. It's crazy. So Kiriko, S tier without question. Moving on, we got Lucio. Lucio's an interesting character, and I often find myself wondering where I could put him. But I want to be fair to the good players in that if a good player has Lucio, they're gonna do work because they can do solid damage with him and then just never die, while, you know, racking up some healing and racking up that speed boost. You know, I feel like your average Lucio player is pretty dog water. If anything, I'd put him here for average, but when you put a good player in the hands of a Lucio, and even just like really anyone who's even decent at the game, Lucio can be really useful, especially for, you know, pushing the point first, getting to places where you need to be, helping speed up everyone. The one thing that is a serious drawback for him, serious drawback for Lucio, is he under no circumstance provides any concentrated healing, and it sucks. Like, it really sucks, because you could just be in his little circle and you're healing like 5 HP per second, bro. That shit sucks. Now obviously he can turn it up and, you know, amplify it, but it's only temporary. So Lucio is definitely a character who, if you can master his movement, you will be amazing, because he will like never die. Lucio's movement, just gliding wall to wall, and then when enemies are on you, you can just speed up and get out of there. Very useful character. His ultimate is very good. His abilities obviously being the speed boost and the healing, and then you can amplify it, but also the little pushback. I think it's a little gimmick that is useful in more maps than others, like maps especially with cliffs and where you can just fall off the map. I think that's where Lucio shines even more. But ultimately, Lucio is a character who just does constant damage, and he's that bug on the wall, almost quite literally, because he's always gliding on walls, that if you don't deal with him, he's somehow, some way gonna keep that team alive with that slow ass healing. A big drawback again, though, speaking on some of his cons, if you have, for example, a Moira or Zenyatta and a Lucio on your team, as a tank, you're fucked. Like, you're so screwed, because what are you gonna do with the Zenyatta and a Lucio on your team? You have zero concentrated healing. Zenyatta's healing is dog water. So yeah, rest in peace if that's the kind of team you're dealing with. Even a Brig, like, you don't want those two on the same team. So anytime you can have a character who works with what, like, if I have a Kiriko, it doesn't matter who the next support is. I am a concentrated healer. I bring so much value to the team. Characters who synergize with everyone are just godly. Like, again, Lucio, if you just had him in a vacuum, it's one thing, but Overwatch is a team game. So if I'm a tank and I see Lucio and Zenyatta or Lucio and Moira on my team, I know that I am not going to be able to take as much damage as I like. I cannot be as aggressive. And you're indirectly, or you're quite literally directly though, you're directly impacting the outcome of the game. And even though your healing stat says one thing, if your tank sucks and people are like, tank diff, you have to understand that your tank cannot do anything and he cannot be aggressive. He cannot push the pace, because he's gonna die anytime he just walks out in the open. Like, that's why it sucks seeing a Lucio on your team when there's a Brig or a Moira or a Zen. Like, it's just terrible. You're screwed. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I would definitely not mind putting Lucio in B tier. But with that being said, I'll give him low A. Okay, next up though, we got Mercy. Mercy, I still don't care what anyone says. Mercy is A tier. She is so fucking good. And I've never actually like tried to like main Mercy or anything as a support, because I can't stand just sitting there and healing. But to all the people out there who are Mercy mains, kudos to you, because whenever I see a Mercy on my team, I'm celebrating. It is the most useful thing in the game to be able to revive a fucking tank when it dies immediately. If you revive a tank, you are literally changing the game. And that shit does not go on the stat sheet. I apologize, Mercy mains. But reviving a tank is so important, so crucial, so pivotal to what you obviously want to do. And I can't tell you how many times I've been revived, even as a DPS, whether I'm playing Soldier or Hanzo or whoever, and Mercy revives me and I'm just like, oh my god, this chick is crazy. Her damage boost is amazing. You know, the recent patch where they nerfed her healing and nerfed her movement, she still can move and she still can heal really well. Her ultimate, you know what I mean? I mean, it's more so for movement purposes to where you won't die, but all of it just, it adds up to her being so good. And she's a great concentrated healer. Again, she's a damage booster. She's hard to kill when she's moving around, especially when she's just flying everywhere. That shit's annoying. But I think the biggest thing that breaks her off compared to everyone is that she can revive, and it changes the game. When I work hard as a DPS to take out a tank and I'm satisfied, and then Mercy just revives them and I couldn't kill the Mercy in time and now they're revived, that is annoying. Like, really annoying. And then obviously her damage boost just changes the game so much. So Mercy, definitely S tier. I know that is, to me, not even a question. Moira, she will be our first B tier. Moira is a very easy character to play. She requires no skill with the aim. You just hold it, and as long as it's in the vicinity, she's sucking out of someone. And then her healing, same thing, vicinity, healing someone. Her orbs, throw it out, make sure it's in a populated area, and you have to do none of the work. And then she has a free get out of jail free card every 7 seconds, I believe, to where she just teleports out. You just jump up while you teleport, you get extra range, and she's solid. Not a particularly great healer, not a bad healer, and then not a particularly great damager, but not a bad damager. Like, she can just do everything at a solid rate. She is not the best at one thing, but she is not the worst at one thing. Her, again, because of that teleport, her movement's really solid, but she's not the best movement character in support. Obviously, that's Lucio. Her healing's really solid, especially with the orb, but she's not the best healer. That would be Kiriko or Mercy. Her damage is solid, especially when you put out her negative orb, but she's not the best damager. That would probably be Baptiste or Zen. But again, she can do all of those things, and that is just really good. So she's gonna be middle of the pack. Her ultimate, by the way, is really good. If your tank's dying and you just zone in on your tank, they're gonna get healed, and then you just focus to do damage. Like, her ultimate, I believe, is really underrated. Not enough people talk about it. It's definitely a game changer. Like, people talk about amazing ultimates and all this kind of stuff, and I've never heard Moira's name be brought up, but it really is a game changer to be able to bail out your tank and then also force fire and just single-handedly take out a DPS and a support or whomever. Like, it's just really good because it's a widespread area where it's aiming, and you'd have like, what, 5 seconds to just do it. So it goes really, really well with her kit. And then Zenyatta, who's the last healer we got here. Zen will definitely be a C tier. I'm gonna put her high. I don't know if he's better than Brig. I'm gonna leave him up better than Brig. His biggest drawback among just the whole game is that he is also a turtle. Like, he is a turtle. The guy has no ability to get away. He has free pickings to anyone and everyone whom has any kind of flank on him. And even if you don't, he don't move at all. He's just there. Like, he exists. Great thing about him is his damage output. If you put a negative orb on someone and you just hold your orbs together, you're gonna kill him. Like, that's gonna happen, no doubt. Easy money. So he's capable of high damage output. The problem with him is, again, the movement, but also his healing. His healing sucks. When you have an orb on someone and you can only heal one person at a time, and then it's only like a limited amount of healing per second. Like, I'm sorry, his healing sucks. What makes up for it is his ultimate, in that it heals everyone, and they are healed immediately, and they just stay healed immediately, and you yourself are invincible. So out of all supports, he definitely has one of the best ultimates of supports. I would say it's better than Lucio's, because that's a good question. Is it better than Lucio's? I would say so. I would say it's better than is it better than Ana's? The problem with Ana's ultimate is that it's not so much of a problem, is that you need someone to give it to on a team who deserves it. Two, if you're playing with like a Doomfist and like a Tracer and a Hanzo, like, who the hell are you gonna give it to? You know what I mean? Like, those are not reliable damage sources. Like, if it was Soldier, yeah, you give it a Soldier. Sojourn, give it a Sojourn. You got an Orisa, let her ult, let her go in. But if you're just playing with people who aren't so much damage focused, like Wrecking Ball, then it's like, my ultimate's not as nearly as impactful. So her ultimate is very dependent on who she's playing with. So yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I feel like all supports really have a great ultimate. I just don't know who has the best. Maybe Kiriko? Zenyatta's is really good though. Briggs is definitely the worst. Briggs' ultimate sucks. They need to rework that, and they are. But yeah, this is the tier list again. Zenyatta, really solid character for damage output. He's probably the best damage output character, along with Baptiste. I don't know who I'd have ahead of who. I guess it just has to do with my playtime as well. I got to play with more of them. But a good Zenyatta will just lay the smack down, man. And then his negative orb can be really, really impactful when you're playing someone like an Orisa or a Sigma, to where it's just kind of getting annoying to kill him. And that thing definitely makes him worse. So Zenyatta has pros just like everyone. But god damn, his cons just really hold him back. No movement and lack thereof healing while you are a support. Like, bro, come on. But anyway, this is my tier list. If you guys agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. Again, this is opinion based ultimately, but I feel like this is a really respectable tier list. I feel like you really can't go wrong with the placements of these characters and where they're at and why they are there. Ultimately though, you know, everyone will have their own opinion. So comment down below on what you agree with, what you disagree with, and why, and maybe I can talk about that in my next video. But anyway, appreciate you guys always for watching. This is Ollie been different. On we been different. And we out.